Yo, Jesse with Bowman Land Clearing. Well, we've had a lot of rain, in Alabama. So today is, well, yesterday was the last day for rain. So I had a knock on the door yesterday, and this cat, since it was in the rental, right on, the Thompson cat came out and said that they had updated the GPS tracking system. So they came by yesterday and fixed it, or updated it from a 3G to a 4G. So it's been rained on a lot. I mean, of course, I got leaks all the time and then stuff like that. So it's been rained on, so it's probably all nasty. So when he had to lift the cab up, we'll go ahead and lift it up. I got to realizing after he lifted it up how bad it looks under here. Real bad, real muddy. Very annoying too, to be honest with you. So the last repair I had, I didn't record any. I didn't really think nothing about it. I need to check that out. I can't tell if that's hydraulic fluid or what. But I had the final drive sensors replaced and the harnesses, or the speed sensors is what it's called. So, you know, I've got all that stuff packed back there. Pine needles is real bad. I do need to wash it, but I don't have a pressure washer. And why it gets all these sticks up here is that freaking hole right there. So when you back drag it, slings it right up underneath it. But it's like 40 degrees, so all this week and next week supposed to be like 40s, and low is like 20s and 30s. So it's not supposed to be warm really much. So also had a code for a fuel water separator, and I've had it twice that the water fuel separator sensor doesn't allow you to go the 2400 RPM. It just goes to 1700. That the water level sensor shorts out some way. This is the second time that's happened, so I don't know if anybody else does that or not. But I was going to go ahead and get my tarp. I put a tarp right here on both sides, so that way I can grab and throw it. Get me some gloves, and check that out right there. It's pretty wet under there. I don't know if it's just where the water drained down and it's wet, or if it's a clamp's loose or what, but it looks awful sticky down in there. So I'm gonna try to get this cleaned up and get everything prepped for the next job. Well, this is the most uncomfortable. My butt's asleep, but I've had 2 buckets full and it's still thick. So my problem is, I think the rubber seals that go right here is throwing dirt, but also the hoses that go up to the final drives, and also with the mulcher missing chains at the bottom, where the mulching, or where the chains are, the mulch is slinging it up, throwing it up, and it's thrown up here, which I threw, which the wind's blowing pretty bad. But there's a stick that's been here since I first started. So there's this plate right here. It goes under all this. I'm trying to clean all the belly up and then get up all on the insides, which I cleaned all this stuff up because it's not good for connectors. You know, you got connectors for your depth module over here and all your connectors over there. It's bad. Like all that mulch has just been packing for a while. I do clean it now. I probably maybe clean it maybe once a month. I probably should do a lot better, but I just never had like a pressure washer, and at the time I didn't have the time. But now everything's wet since I let it outside, because I don't have, I mean, I had to clean the shop out. Took me about a day and a half to clean out a bunch of stuff where I can get this in there. But, and it's just soaking wet. So my plan is to clean it out best I can, and then take a leaf blower and blow out all the dust, and then let it dry out, and then come back and then clean it up a lot better, and then pressure wash it, and then go back with these connectors over here and make sure that there's no water in them. So you got to be careful with that. So I'm gonna try to unpack all that dirt So all that dirt's right under the hydraulic pump. I'm not really sure how, but right here is the AC filter, and it slings it up like right in here. So because of the seals, you know, it's got a gap like that much, so it just slings it up through here on both sides. So it makes a mess under here, and it's all packed, and it's not fun. But I'm gonna get this cleaned up. It's really thick and wet. I mean, it's some places about that thick. Right here is probably the hardest to get into because you got bolt brackets and bolts and hoses that run over through here. So I usually pull this back and pull it back and then dig my hand through there. Just any area that I could get to, you know, get it cleaned up. But some of this is, you know, it's probably got a big chunk that's been there since it, but when I first got it, it had chert, and I literally had to chisel it. And I got all this cleaned up, but it was probably about 5 inches thick when I first got it. And of course they washed it, so it made it really pack in there. So, but that's what I've got. I've got 2 buckets, so I'm just kind of cleaning and then raking and cleaning and raking in a pile and then digging it out, trying to get all the connectors and all the behind the hoses cleaned up, because all this stuff packed on here will cause heat. So, and then it's just not good for all your stuff because of rust. So yeah. So I took my electric garbage leaf blower and cleaned out the rest of it. You can kind of see it looks a little better. Cleaned the little pockets. Some of that stuff's just so packed in there, I mean, even digging at it taking forever. But I feel more comfortable with it. And then until I can get me a you know, a pressure washer, which we got one, I just have to dig it out. I forgot about it. But this is how much I picked out: a full bucket under the pump, because there's like a little swell back there, and then the axle tubes back there in the back. So a lot of it packed. You can kind of see it packed back here a little bit. So I feel a little bit better about it since it's cleaned up. And then I've got to get that belly pan out, so that way I can straighten it up. So I'm gonna take the machine and put 2 pieces, so that way when I drive over it, kind of pushes it back down, because it's got a, you know, a gap. So try that way, so when I need to take something apart, at least it'll be a lot cleaner. So once I can find the washer, the pressure washer, then it's gonna look like that for a while. That way I can actually clean it, make it look good. That way I can tighten up these little hose clamps and stuff like that. I think that's leaking. It may be just the clamp, or at least I think there's something that spins on there. It's like a big old hex nut on there or something. So hopefully it ain't leaking too bad, or maybe it's just water. But the way it looks, I tried to smell it, but it's got all kinds of water and all leaves and all the smells pretty much for mulching all over it. So it's been seeping for a while. So got it cleaned up best I could, top of the connectors. And then I'm gonna try to get some of these right here, which this is always packed. I don't think these have been changed out in a while. Nasty. So gotta get me a new one, probably 2 of them. There's this one, and then there's one in the cab. It's behind the left arm. This is what burns up blower motors, which mulching, it's been dusty, so it's don't matter how many times you blow it out, it's still that thick. Probably just go ahead and get some new ones. So go ahead and get this cleaned up. So that's pretty much what I wanted to do. I mean, you can tell, which I got out a few more buckets. Right here at her shop, it's just soupy. So when I come out with a machine, real soupy. That's how much I pulled out. I mean, that's a lot. I mean, most of that stuff was packed in the corners and stuff like that, but I tried to get in there the best I could so that way it don't rust out some of the nuts and bolts and the hoses and stuff like that. So, and all that is, I cleaned most of that stuff right over here on this left side, that way, because that's the hydraulic tank, so it's probably the reason why it stayed a little warmer, just because stuff was packed around it from the top and bottom on the sides. So it makes a big difference. So next is I'll get in here and steam it off. I'd like to have a steamer instead of a pressure washer, but that'll do. Once I take that belly pan off, then all that stuff should just fall right down in the little hole. And all of that, it'll make me feel a little better too. So, but since I'm here, I'm gonna grease all the grease fittings and put her back up and wait for a call. See you on the next one.